Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. This week's cocktail is the Gingerbread Cocktail and is the featured cocktail in today's episode. We're going to start the blender. We've got some gingerbread cookies in there. So add the cookies to the blender. We're going to pulse a few times. Yep, looks good. Next, we're going to add vanilla bean ice cream. Three-quarters of a cup, which just happens to be 2 of these little tiny cartons. How convenient. Good. Next, a 1/4 cup eggnog. One 1/4 cup. Spiced rum, 1 1/2 ounces. I should tell you, boys and girls, that this is supposed to make 2 cocktails. So there you go. So basically there's an ounce of alcohol in each cocktail. Then we're going to blend until combined. That looks pretty good. Then we're going to take a cocktail glass, which I have rimmed with simple syrup and then dipped into crushed gingerbread cookies. I'm going to pour it in there. Supposed to make 2 cocktails. I don't know that it will. Then we're going to top with whipped cream and a gingerbread man. Look at that. Yeah, it's pretty good, boys and girls. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
If the thought of Santa Claus brings up warm and fuzzy memories from your childhood, you are lucky enough to be on a completely different path than young Peter in this week's episode of the Scary Spirits podcast, where exports A Christmas Tale. I like Peter. He's a researcher. Unfortunately, what he finds ultimately destroys his innocent childhood right before our eyes. But I suppose that eventually happens to all of us. Just thank your lucky stars you don't have to fight off naked elves just to have a happy Christmas. Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Greg.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm feeling much better, Greg.
Good.
Still
We're
a little
all
bit.
very happy to hear it.
I'm sure you all are. Not there yet, but getting there. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
That's what we do.
How was your Krampusnacht, Karen?
Well, I'm still here.
Well, hey, look at that. I am too.
It's got to be a win, right? My kids are still here.
Well, there you go.
I guess we're just not naughty. Shockingly so.
Yes. Karen, was this film my choice?
It was. What film did you choose for us?
Karen, I chose the 2010 film Rare Exports, A Christmas Story.
It's a tale, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, Christmas Tale. A Christmas...
It classes it up. It's a tale.
Yes, it's a tale.
Do you have a drink to go with it?
I do, Karen.
You have an amazing drink that I did not make.
Oh, my God. You didn't make
I know.
it?
No, I didn't have all the things. I forgot how complicated it was.
It's not complicated, Karen.
No, I mean, ingredient. It's not complicated. That's the wrong
it's not
word.
even complicated ingredient-wise.
I didn't have ice cream and I didn't have eggnog. And I was like, well, crap.
Oh, my God, Karen.
But I am going to make
What
it
house does not have ice cream and eggnog in it right now?
in December. I know it's a disgrace, but I am going to make it because it looks amazing. So by next week, I will tell you what I think of it.
All right. The cocktail I've chosen is called the Gingerbread Cocktail.
Very appropriate, by
Yes.
the way.
We got 3 sets of ingredients here, but it's not complicated.
Keep telling them that.
It's not. So for the rim, we're going to rim it. So for the rim, we're going to need a tablespoon of sugar, tablespoon of water, and crushed gingerbread cookies or colored sugar or whatever. Or you can just use simple syrup right out of your fridge. And rim the glass, dip it in the crushed gingerbread cookies, and you're good to go. All right. For the cocktail, we're going to need a 1/4 cup gingerbread man cookies or ginger snap cookies, 3/4 cup vanilla bean ice cream or vanilla ice cream. I don't know. You do you. A 1/4 cup eggnog and 1.5 ounces of spiced rum. Then we're going to need whipped cream and gingerbread cookies for a garnish. All right. So I already told you for the rim, dip your rim in your simple syrup and then dip it in the crushed up gingerbread cookies. Then for the frozen cocktail, Karen, we're going to add the gingerbread men cookies. I put like 4 in there. 4 gingerbread men cookies, little tiny
Where did
ones.
you get the little ones? Okay.
Yes. They're very
Just in
hard
the
to
bag.
find, Karen.
I was going to say,
I had to
yeah.
order them online.
I found ginger snaps last time.
You can use ginger
so-
snaps, but I wanted a ginger man cookie for the garnish, Karen.
Of course you did, because you're fancy.
I am. So I put like 4 of the little cookies in there, pulsed it a few times to break them up. Then we add all the remaining ingredients. So we add the ice cream, the eggnog, and the spiced rum to the blender, and then we blend until combined, Karen. Then we serve it. We pour it into our cocktail glass with the rimmed gingerbread
Ooh,
cookie.
it looks nice.
Yeah. Then we top with whipped cream and a ginger man cookie. And then we serve immediately, Karen.
Where's the cookie?
He's here. You just can't see him.
Oh, he's not hanging on by the side.
No.
Help me.
He's
Help. Oh,
sinking.
there he is.
He's sinking.
This is a Greg drink all the way.
Oh, it sure is.
Do you have extra eggnog? I know you like the eggnog now. We found that out
Oh yeah,
last
yeah.
year.
I got a whole bottle of it, Karen, now.
Awesome.
And boys and girls, according to the recipe, this makes 2 servings.
Oh, please.
It made about 1 1/4 for me. I got a
Okay.
glass full, and then I have like a little bit left in the blender still. So that'd be good as a, bedtime snack. Get that little bit out of the blender.
Yeah.
Should we give our friends and listeners time to make their own gingerbread cocktail, Karen?
Yes, we should.
Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for us?
I do.
Go on. Tell us all the story. Or
Before I start,
tell us all a tale, Karen.
yes, a tale. Let me tell you a tale. I'm going to call the main character in here Peter, just so you know, so I
Okay.
don't butcher his name.
Yeah, I didn't use their names the whole way through.
A young boy named Peter and his friend Juuso think a secret mountain drilling project near their home in northern Finland has uncovered the tomb of Santa Claus. However, this is a monstrous evil Santa, much unlike the cheery Saint Nick of legend. When Peter's father captures a feral old man in his wolf trap, the man may hold the key to why reindeer are being slaughtered and children are disappearing.
Thank you, Karen. We are a match. That's a pretty good one.
It's not bad.
And we'll start off right here by saying this is a foreign film, boys and girls, apparently from Finland. So it's Finnish. All right.
Where did you even hear about it?
In all of our years doing this podcast, I've searched for Christmas horror movies. And this one has come up on like lots of like top 10 lists. So I've wanted to see it for a while. Karen, tell us everything you really enjoyed about this film.
It's a good film. It's a really good film, I think. I think the young man who is the actor, who is the main child, is very good. It has that, desolate's the wrong word, but the way it's filmed, I'm sure it must have been filmed in Norway, Sweden, or Finland or somewhere. I mean, you can just feel how cold it is from the way it's shot. It's got that blue tinge to it. You can't see their breath when they're talking, though, which was kind of throwing me off, but it just looked cold. I thought it was an interesting story. I was entertained the entire time. I thought it moved well. I thought it was, there was enough going on at all times to keep me interested. Small cast, which we always say. There is sort of sequel potential too, depending on how you would spin it. I liked it. I liked the acting. I liked all of it. I liked the little hoodlum kid. You could just, I don't know. They seemed like a family, a desperate family. I mean, I bought into it. I really, really liked this film. What about you? What did you like about it?
I agree with everything you pretty much said there. It's very nice scenery. That's the first thing I wrote.
Yeah.
It's very picturesque.
I wish they'd have thrown in some Northern Lights.
Yes,
Just
and
because,
it was filmed in Norway. I like the small cast. The young boy that you said was really good. He kind of got on my nerves. I don't know what it was, but something about him I didn't like.
He was a smarty pants.
Well, yeah, that. But
I like that he did all the research. Like, this is my kind of kid.
the other actors were good. I like that there's some English in it. So we don't have to read the whole thing because there are English people in the story. I like the story. It was an easy watch. It's 82 minutes. I didn't check the time on the movie once, didn't even look. I did just happen to glance at the clock and I'm like, oh, this is rolling right along. Like I didn't It went quick, I guess is what I'm saying. So I was engaged, I guess is what that means.
There
Yep,
was
that's all I got.
there were some really cool shots with the snow. I know I said it more than once that they really utilized the environment well for the film.
Anything you did not like?
I'm just going to
I'm sure there is some.
tell everyone that Greg is going to be done with this drink before we even start talking about this movie. Kind of like when you buy the big popcorn and you finish it before the movie even starts. That's what he's doing with
True.
this drink right
Yes,
now.
I am.
Um, we did like the story. And the little boy Peter was doing a lot of research, so I wish we would have learned a little bit more about the legends or whatever they were trying to kind of follow along. You know me, I like that kind of stuff. So the myth or whatever he was researching, I would have liked him to have talked about it a little more. I thought the ending was weird. I kind of didn't quite understand it. And we can get to it when we're talking about it. But it turns out they didn't come off as really great people in the end. I didn't think.
Did you think they were coming off as great people throughout the whole thing?
No,
Really?
they were desperate people. They were going to starve, and that didn't really change. So I don't know how they made it through, but there's desperation there, which I could sort of understand. And then the end I just thought was weird. That's all. Other than that, I don't really have anything. I thought even the effects were good. And I will say I was surprised there wasn't a nudity
Oh, true.
warning at the beginning.
True.
I mean, I don't know what it is with Christmas movies, but lots of male genitalia in the last couple of films we've watched.
Merry Christmas, Karen.
I guess. But there was nudity.
Yes. Full.
Yeah. In the cold.
Yes.
Is there anything you didn't like about it?
Number one, I'm not sure it's a horror film. That's top on my list. But
Well, as we say, horrific things happen.
They do.
Well, it depends. It might be what's the genre that we're calling?
There's a little bit of creepiness in it,
I thought some parts were really creepy.
Yeah.
And what is it? Folklore, folk horror, or whatever.
Well, Wikipedia calls it a Finnish fantasy action horror comedy film.
But it's folklore that they're following.
It is true.
So it could be like the Wendigo and all those kind of things. And I think that's horror. I would be okay.
And going back to what you just said, it's folklore, right? So they've got all this. They have a plethora of books on the subject.
He's got
in his attic.
Yeah. Or he got from who knows where they came from, but he's got about 20 books.
But apparently we find out the dad doesn't know anything about the folklore or what it is. So it took me a long time to realize that, because I thought at the beginning he was trying to protect the kid from the folklore. He knew what was happening, but that's not the case.
I don't think so. No.
He was just worried about wolves and things, I guess, at the beginning, and not Santa Claus or whatever.
Yeah. But again, that's what I mean. I think they had all this material to work with and they didn't really tell us anything. And that's the whole kind of gig with folklore horror. You learn about, like we learned about the
We get about 1 minute of it.
Yeah.
When the two boys are talking.
Yeah. But there could have been more, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And we get some in the beginning where you can kind of tell from the images that were being shown during the credits what the story is, right?
Yes.
You talked about that you didn't understand the ending. I thought it was rushed. It felt rushed. It's one of those where it's like, oh, we're running out of money. Let's wrap this up.
I think it felt to me like they just got to the end and were like, shit, well, what do we do now? Okay, let's do this.
And there was too much nudity for me, Karen, and too many words to read.
It didn't bother me, the subtitles.
It wasn't bad, but I missed a few. I know I did, but I got
what, a few nudes or
a few
subtitles?
Of the subtitles, yeah. Because I was writing something or whatever, looking at the basketball game,
That's dedication, Greg.
Get distracted. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I enjoyed it. It was different.
Okay. What kind of cocktail rating would you like to give this film, Karen?
I'd give it a 3.
Okay. Once again, boys and girls, that means it took us three cocktails to get through it. Three gingerbread
You
cocktails.
wish.
It's a good thing this serves makes two servings. 'Cause I'm going to need another one in a minute. All
Go get a refill.
right, Karen. Would you like to hear a review from the time?
Please tell me it's Roger Ebert.
Karen, the review I have is from December 22nd, 2010, and it is by Roger Ebert.
Okay. Yes, I would love to hear that review.
I haven't read it. It's about a page long, so I'm just going to go for it. Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale is a rather brilliant lump of coal for your stocking, hung by the fireside with care. How else to explain an R-rated Santa Claus origin story crossed with The Thing? Apart from the inescapable that the movie has Santa and reindeer in it, this is a superior horror film, a spot-on parody of movies about dead things brought back to life. Oh, and all the reindeer are dead. There are two living ones, but whatever. I need to help you picture this. It is the day before Christmas in the far Arctic North. Young, I'm going to call him Peter since you already started that. So, young Peter lives on a reindeer ranch with his dad and other men who would feel right at home shooting reindeer from a helicopter. Yes, they are hunting food. The Scandinavians eat reindeer. God knows they do. Years ago, I once visited Finland, Norway, and Sweden on a tour for the Scandinavian Film Institute. And at every single meal, some sort of reindeer appetizer was served as a quote unquote delightful surprise. Between meals or when lost in the snow, they gnaw on reindeer jerky. I stray. Nearby, there is a huge mound that looks vaguely sinister. The Americans have been blasting away up there with dynamite. Very sinister. Peter and his friend, how do you say his name? Juso?
You so.
Yuso have been sneaking through the fence to spy on the Yanks. Peter is a dead ringer in every way for Ralphie in A Christmas Story, except he's not blonde. He doesn't wear glasses. So, really not Roger. There is a legend that centuries ago the citizens were threatened by fearsome monsters. They were able to trick them onto the lake where they froze. One of them was cut out inside a giant block of ice and buried deep within the mound. And now, dot, 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 it's an idea from The Thing where an alien was found in Antarctica and brought frozen into a hut where drip, 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 it began to thaw. We approached this possibility on the night before Christmas. Peter's mother is dead, and his dad, Rano, keeps telling him to stay in the house, and Peter, an earnest, stubborn Ralphie type, keeps sneaking out. He's the only one who figures out what's happening. Inside the mound, inside the ice, is Santa Claus. Well, not Santa Claus precisely. A savage, scrawny beast of a man with a beard who eventually does, admittedly, end up wearing a Santa suit, but strictly for warmth. This creature is, however, arguably of the species Santus Clausium. The director of Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale, the Finnish Mr. Hellander, I'm not even going to try his first name, has made two Rare Exports short subjects about the capture and taming of wild Santas who are then supplied to the worldwide market for Santas. Those Finns, what cut-ups. Don't let it get lost in the confusion that this is a fine film, an original, daring, carefully crafted film that never for one instant winks at us that it's a parody. In its tone, acting, location work, music, and inexorably mounting suspense, this is an exemplary horror film apart from the detail that they're not usually subtitled A Christmas Tale and tell about terrifying wild Santas. The R rating was earned by the F word and a naked Santa. Did I mention the reindeer slaughter? That's what Roger says.
Roger liked it.
He did. Brilliant, he called it. Brilliant. All right, Karen, before we get into the film, I want to tell you this had an 89% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes,
Wow.
a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
Ugh,
What do you think those Google users say, Karen?
94.
85, Karen.
Oh, I should have gone in the
You're
middle.
pretty high, pretty high.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes led me astray.
As they do. All right, Karen, are you ready to get into it scene by scene?
Absolutely.
You're really going to like this cocktail when you make it.
I know I am.
It's going to go right to my hips, though. All right. Rare Exports at Christmas Tale from 2010. Did you watch this on Amazon Prime, Karen?
I did, and I paid for it, so I wouldn't look for ads.
I did too. I paid the $2.99 for the standard definition,
Yep.
and it was beautiful. So there you go. Rated R for violence and foul language. No nudity to speak of, Karen.
Not in the beginning.
Film opens and we immediately have words to read. 24 days to Christmas. And we see that there's a group of men, they're working on a mountain, they're taking core samples from this mountain, and they bring up a sample of sawdust. And apparently this layer of sawdust is 65 feet thick.
Yes, it is.
But the guy who seems to be running the thing, I think his name is Riley. Yeah, his name is Riley. Don't know that we ever hear him called that, but that's his name. Informs us that sawdust was once used to keep ice from melting. It was used as like a cooler.
An insulator, yeah.
And then he gives the man, who I think is like the foreman or something, a set of safety instructions.
New safety instructions.
Yes.
He says it's Christmas time. Let's act like it. I don't quite get that, and that comes back later, and I missed something there, I think.
It basically says no cursing.
Yeah, you have to behave. You can't be
Yeah,
naughty. But
correct.
they're adults. So I don't know. Well, I guess we see what happens later if you're naughty as an adult.
Well, do we?
Yeah, at one point.
So then we see two boys watching the men drill for samples. And then they find a core sample of ice. And Riley talks about the mountains being the largest burial mound in the world. And the men have 24 days to open it. Think of it as a tomb, I guess. And they're going to use dynamite, and the boys seem concerned, I wrote.
Yeah, I don't know if this is where he says it, but he calls the burial ground of the Sammy. What did he say?
Mm-hmm.
Sammy?
Sammy.
So the Sami live in Lapland, he said. Lapland is Finland's northernmost region, a sparsely populated area bordering Sweden, Norway, Russia, and the Baltic Sea. It's known for its vast subarctic wilderness, ski resorts, and natural phenomenon, including the midnight sun and the northern lights. The homeland of the indigenous Sami people, which extends into neighboring countries, centers on the far north. The Sami are an indigenous people who live in Sapni. I'm probably butchering that, but it's a region that spans, like I said, parts of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. The population is estimated of these people about 100,000, with the majority living in Norway. They have 9 languages spoken, and it is the official dialect in some areas of Norway and Finland. They are reindeer herders, fishers, hunters, and livestock farmers, wood carvers, weaving. They are an official national minority in Sweden, which means that Swedish law protects their culture, traditions, and languages. In Norway, they have their own elected assembly. They're often indistinguishable from Northern Europeans in terms of physical characteristics, with most having light eyes and blonde hair, which these guys looked in this film, but I don't think they're of that culture. And they have you might have seen some of their clothing. It's very colorful, but insulated to withstand the cold, but it has a lot of embroidery on it, and it's very colorful. So there you go.
So the boys run away, and one of the boys, we're going to call him Peter, thinks the Santa Claus is buried there. The older boy teases him for believing in Santa Claus.
Calls him a baby. Okay, so I have a question for you. So when you have siblings,
Well, these aren't siblings, though.
I know, but when you have siblings, siblings ruin Santa because they burst your bubble early. So you're an only. Who told you?
No one has told me to this day, Karen.
Okay, let's move on before we
But
burst
people
anyone.
talk, you hear things.
So you're friends, you think?
Yeah, I guess.
Because as siblings, you kind of ruin it for people because you start hunting for
Well,
gifts.
I like to think I figured it out for myself.
Okay.
But, people talk, you hear things.
Well, you had to have an inkling. Someone had to have said something that made you think that maybe you could investigate.
But I think it just came natural. I don't think it was any like big thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So then we have it.
Older siblings last the longest, but the young ones know way earlier.
So then we have explosions on the mountain.
And the kids are riding a snowmobile and they don't look very old, which, of course, that's how you get around there. But what do you think? 10 and 7 or maybe
I don't know.
9 and 13, maybe something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Then we have credits. And as the credits are playing, we see the boy Peter looking through books about Santa Claus. And every now and then we have a picture with a subtitle underneath it saying what it is in English. So we see the first Santa Claus who has been naughty, Santa walking barefoot in the snow. And
we're seeing a lot of scary Santa pictures and seeing innocents die right in front of our eyes. That's what we're seeing.
And then I wrote pictures of Krampus, but is that Santa?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. And then there's another picture that says ancient Santa by his cauldron. And is he dipping a kid in the cauldron?
Yeah, he's dipping a kid in the cauldron.
And then more explosions on the mountain. And we have 1 day to Christmas, Karen, words to read.
Yeah, so we had 24 days till Christmas, and then we do a big jump, and now we're 1 day to Christmas.
1 day. Then we see a man whittling wood and making spikes, and he puts them in a pit. He's making a trap, I wrote, and he baits it with the head of a pig. So then the father yells and wakes up the boy, Peter, who is his son. Peter gets up and he tapes the door to his advent calendar shut.
Yeah, because
he won't open.
So, okay, which he does. Where do you think advent calendars originated, if you had to guess?
Germany.
Yes. Like many other aspects of modern Christmas practices, the Advent calendar is of German origin. From the early 19th century at the latest, German Protestants began to mark the days of Advent either by burning a candle for the day or, more simply, marking walls or doors with a line of chalk each day. Advent calendars have their roots in the 19th century because the Protestants started taking creative steps to mark the days leading up to Christmas. And this one says, like, taking off chalk marks on walls or doors, lighting candles, and placing straws in the nativity crib.
Yeah, we had like an Advent candle thing, right? It's like 4 candles in a circle around one.
An Advent wreath, yes.
Yeah.
But the calendars have all the days.
They do. I might have had one once, but we had the Advent wreath every freaking year. And I took great pleasure in lighting those candles, Karen.
I'm sure you did.
Fire. So then Father yells and wakes up Peter. Blah, blah. I already said that. So then Peter looks out the window and sees footprints in the snow on the roof
right outside
his window.
Yeah, right outside his window.
So he runs to his father's, I wrote, work shed in his underwear and tries to get his father to come out, but he refuses. He says, if you have something to tell me, come inside. But he tells him to shut his eyes. So I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's Dad doing in his shed?
I had an inkling with the pig head, what he was doing in there.
Maybe. So then we see the father in there and he's butchering the pig, I guess. And boy tries to tell him about the footprints, but Dad's having none of it. He tells the boy to get dressed so they can leave because they're going to some like year-end festival or something.
The roundup, they called it.
Year-end roundup.
Yeah, so the kid runs out in his underwear. Yeah. And a lot of times during the film, the people that are there aren't wearing gloves they're in jackets and it's cold, but I don't know if you just get used to it or it wasn't as cold as it looked.
Oh. So then they take snowmobiles to, I wrote, it looked like a hunter's camp Dad gives Peter a shotgun. Then when the older boy, Yuso,
Yuso, yeah.
asks Peter if he can use the gun, and he kind of teases him again.
Yeah, he gives them shit about it.
So then they see some reindeer coming up over the horizon, and Peter gets all excited, and
They all do.
they all
Yeah.
do, and they go inside a fenced area.
Which they've electrified.
Yes, but it turns out to be only two small reindeer, and apparently they were expecting a lot more, Karen. So then the men go out on snowmobiles, Dad and another guy. Dad and Yugo's dad, right?
You
Yuso's
Yuso's
dad.
dad.
Remember the Yugo, Karen?
Yes.
All right, so
Va- Vaguely.
they go out on their snowmobiles and head out to investigate. And Yuso goes with them. So they find a bunch of dead reindeer in a valley, I wrote. So then the two fathers leave the two boys behind and they go further in to investigate. And they believe the reindeer were killed by wolves. And they find that a fence has been cut on the Russian border, apparently, but we saw the boys running through it earlier. So they cut the fence.
Yeah, they think that the Russian wolves did it.
Yes.
Like not only are they dealing with their own wolves, which we heard earlier howling and things, that now the Russian wolves are coming through. But someone notices that the hole was cut with pliers. But
So
there's 433 carcasses.
that's what the dad says.
Okay, so before we go any further, an average reindeer can provide 50 to 60 pounds of meat, depending on its size and fat content, with a typical slaughter yield of around 50 to 55% of its live weight, meaning a 200-pound reindeer would yield roughly 100 to 110 pounds of meat. The exact amount of meat will vary based on the reindeer breed, its health, and the time of year it is slaughtered. Reindeer meat is known for being very lean, which contributes to its lower overall meat yield compared to some other livestock. But just things about reindeer you might not know, Greg. They're covered in hair from their nose to the bottom of their feet. The hairy hooves may look funny, but they give the reindeer a good grip when walking on frozen ground, ice, mud, and snow. They're the only deer species to have hair completely covering their nose. Their specialized nose helps to warm incoming air before it enters their lung, and it's also an excellent sniffer. Their good sense of smell helps the reindeer find food hidden under snow, locate danger, and recognize direction. It says reindeer mainly travel into the wind so they can pick up scents. They eat mosses, herbs, ferns, grasses, and shoots and leaves of shrubs and trees, especially willow and birch. In winter, they make do with lichen, also called reindeer moss, and fungi, scraping the snow away with their hooves to get at it. An adult reindeer eats 9 to 18 pounds of vegetation a day. They travel in herds from as little as 10 to a few hundred. In spring, they form super herds, 50,000 to 500,000 animals. And they're the only deer species to be widely domesticated. They're used as draft animals to pull heavy loads and farmed for their milk, meat, and hides.
Why are they called reindeer?
I don't know that answer.
Oh, sorry. Hello, boys and girls. Karen and I hope you are enjoying the podcast. You know what I think can make your listening experience even better? A delicious themed adult beverage. You can find all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com, in the recipe den. Tune in every Wednesday and join us for a drink. Now, back to the show. All right. But so 433 bodies, they figure it's worth about $85,000.
I mean, they're slaughtered. Yeah, they're gutted. So yeah, 80, what did they say? 85,000?
Then Peter pokes around at one of them and finds a human footprint in the snow underneath it.
A bare footprint, yeah.
Barefoot, yeah.
Yeah.
And the boy tells his stuffed animal that he sure was hungry. So then Dad shoots the padlock holding the gate shut on the border to Russia because he's pissed.
Well, they think the blasting on the mountain has but caused the wolves to come down and hunt their reindeer. So they're mad.
So they enter through the gate and they reach the camp of the men blasting the mountain. Sub-Zero Incorporated, Karen. And they go in there ready to fight. They got their guns cocked and they're ready to go.
Well, they're seeing that they're going to be starving for the winter.
But the camp appears to be deserted and it looks like everyone left in a hurry. They turn on the outside lights and find a deep hole. Dad lights a flare and throws it down. And I wrote, it's a very deep hole.
Very
Karen.
deep hole, yes.
So they say, oh, well, so much for that. And they leave.
I was a little confused at this point. Was there mass destruction there, or did they just leave once they found what they wanted?
Left.
Okay. They found because they dug it up?
Or yeah. Because
Or were they scared, or what happened?
I think they were scared.
Okay.
Back home, they're preparing for dinner, and Peter staples the door to the advent calendar shut with a staple gun. And he has hockey pads and other padding on,
and a helmet, a hockey helmet.
And he shows Yuso pictures from the books he was reading. And he says the Coca-Cola Santa was a hoax.
Yeah, I don't know if they were getting product placement in there or what that was.
Well,
or if it was a joke.
No. The vision we have of Santa is from Coca-Cola.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
They created it in their ads and it just became the Santa.
The Jolly Santas from them. Okay, gotcha.
And the boy says the ones in the picture are the real Santa. And he shows Yuso pictures from the excavation that he thinks shows where Santa Claus is buried. And I wrote, we get some backstory here about the villagers drowning Santa and then taking the ice from the lake and putting it in the mountain. Yuso thinks Peter is an idiot. Peter wants to tell Dad that they cut the hole in the fence, but Yuso tells him not to. Grabs him by the mouth.
Threatens him.
Wearing his tiger tooth earring at Rebel.
Remind you of anyone, Greg?
No. So then Dad and Peter have a candlelight dinner, I wrote. And Peter asked Dad what would happen if he disappeared. Dad tells him to go to bed.
They're eating gingerbread cookies, too.
Gingerbread cookies, yeah.
And he says they're just like Mom used to make. He compliments his dad's gingerbread cookies.
I think he was lying.
Yeah, I do. They were very thin.
Then the boy asks if he's been good. Dad tells him that good boys are in bed by now. Go to bed. But Dad's, he's tearing up a little bit. I guess he's thinking about Mom or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. We don't have any backstory there.
Well, I thought he was just upset because they weren't going to eat for the next.
That could be too. Oh, no. So then the boy sits up in his room or the attic or whatever it is, and he falls asleep. And I wrote the alarm he set for himself fails because it's tied to his sweater and his sweater comes unraveled. And it, instead of dropping the keys or whatever it was into the bowl and waking him up, they fall slowly and gently.
Yes.
So then we see the Sub-Zero guy, I wrote.
Yeah, isn't he back at the site?
The foreman. No, I think they're at this airfield or whatever.
Oh, this is where I thought they went back.
But Riley, he's talking to Riley, the boss, and Riley wants to know if the cargo is ready. The foreman guy tells him he doesn't understand. It's not what they thought. Riley tells him, just follow the safety instruction. And then the man curses, and then we see, I wrote heads roll, but they're just helmets.
That was kind of funny.
And then someone arrives. We don't know who. We just got two bare legs in the snow.
Yeah. So this is what happens to adults if they're naughty. So the guy swore and everybody got killed.
Then we have words to read. 0 days to Christmas. So we see Dad in the morning, and apparently he burned the meat that he cooked overnight. Did he mean to cook that meat overnight?
I don't know. I thought it was a ham or something.
Yeah, I didn't know if he started it and fell asleep or something, but whatever. It's burnt. So then he makes a fire, and then something comes out of the chimney. I don't know, falls down the chimney. Boy runs down with a gun. Dad goes in to look in the chimney, and he pulls out a trap. And Dad blames the son for some reason.
Well, the kid had put it there, so he was trying to protect the family. He knew the Santa would come down the chimney, so he put a trap in there. And his dad got mad because he threw the logs in and the trap
Gotcha.
triggered.
Yeah, I get it now. So then the boy goes outside to use the bathroom. I guess that's what you do. I don't know.
I guess they have an outhouse. Whew, that would be awful.
But he's not in the outhouse peeing. He's like
No, he's just
standing
peeing
there.
outside.
Then the boy sees something, yells for dad. Dad comes out. Boy tells him the bait is gone, so the pig's head's gone. Dad goes down to investigate with his rifle. He tells his son to stay repeatedly, but he doesn't.
Nope, he doesn't.
They walk
Kid
like
never
10 feet and
stays.
he says, Stop, just stop. I told you to stop. Then he walks 10 feet and turns around. The boy's right there. Stop, stay right there. So then they go down and he thinks it's a bird because there's a white feather, a big bird. But then he moves some of the fir branches, right,
Yeah.
away and he sees a hand. So then he grabs the boy and they run up. Dad pulls him away, so he didn't see the hand, so he has no idea what's in the pit. And they go have breakfast. And Dad forces Peter to
Which
eat
I think
gingerbread
is
again.
gingerbread cookies.
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
because the meat burned.
Yep.
Then we hear someone arrive on a snowmobile, I guess. I don't know. Dad tells Peter to stay inside, and he's grounded. So he looks out the window and sees his father and someone dressed like Santa Claus pulling up a large
Tarp.
tarp. Yeah.
The guy who Yuso and Peter were talking, and Peter said, well, who comes to our house is Santa Claus. And Yuso says, your dad pays that guy. It's one of the neighbors. And so the guy is showing up. He's in his Santa suit. He says, I have to be Santa and I have an hour. So this guy must be the neighborhood Santa that goes along to all the houses because he shows up in uniform with his cool aviators, which is funny.
So then we cut to inside Dad's butcher shop and they open the tarp and it's a body of an old man. They pull out his passport and it's supposed to be one of the men we saw earlier, but he's really old. So it's not him.
Okay, so I'll bring this up now and I'll emphasize it again later. But is it him? Because I think that these people that are disappearing are becoming elves, right?
Think?
Well, he has a passport, but it doesn't look like him. And then later, I don't
So
want
you
to
don't think
spoil
the
it.
elves need clothes? They're all naked later, not, you know.
I know. I don't. That's one of the things I don't quite understand. But I think it is him, but he's no longer him. He's now an
Okay.
elf. I
Okay.
think they're like recruiting naughty adults to be elves.
Okay. I can go with that, I guess. So then Dad and the man try to decide what to do with the body because apparently the wolf pit that Dad built is illegal. So they got to get rid of the body and they can't talk about it or whatever.
So
But
why did he build the wolf pit?
to
To
kill
get
wolves.
Yeah, but to get meat
Yeah, that
or
too. I mean, I'm sure they eat them, but they don't want them, they're reindeer herders. They don't want the wolves killing the reindeer or them
no, I get it. It just seems like a
or
in
taking their food from their
inefficient
house.
way to do it when they have guns and things. It just I don't know.
Well, what's your time worth, Karen? Do you want to sit up all night long and watching for
No,
wolves
I
with a
get it. I
gun?
just
All right. So I said it looks like they're going to cut up the body on the bandsaw. Then we see the boy, and he jumps down in the pit, and he finds a
which was
potato.
dangerous. I
Yeah.
mean,
And down there, he finds a potato sack, and I wrote a wooden bust. I didn't know what it
I
was
thought it was a
exactly.
desiccated kid, but
So then the men, Dad and the other guy, discovered that the person's alive. The guy's alive. And I could tell he was alive earlier because his eyes were twitching. But then the boy climbs up a window to look inside, and then the man who's on the slab there smells something.
yeah, it smells the kid.
Dad turns and the boy runs away. Dad goes to get the boy, and he leaves the guy in the Santa suit there with the old man. So then Dad drives off in his 4x4, chasing his son, and he sees his son getting into a police vehicle.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. So Dad follows them to a neighbor's house, apparently.
And all of his potato sacks have been stolen, but they left the potatoes. The police are baffled. Police tell them that all the radiators in the villages have been stolen. They were just ripped off the walls. And then the neighbor guy says that his wife's hair dryer has gone missing as well. And then
They blame
Peter,
the Russians. That's like,
yes, why'd you do? So then Peter asks the neighbor guy where Yuso is, and he tells him he is sleeping. So Peter goes to wake him. Peter goes up to his room and finds a mannequin in Yuso's bed.
yes. So the elves are taking kids and leaving these. They look like corn husk dolls or something.
Supposedly they're straw or something from what I read. But
and I don't think there's one female in this movie.
No. The second thing I wrote, Karen, after nice scenery is where are all the women at? Well, there you go.
I think there's one or two at the hunting camp, but you only see them very briefly.
No, at the yearly roundup or whatever.
Yeah, the yearly roundup. Sorry. Yeah.
So Peter runs down, tells them that Yuso's been taken. Dad and the neighbor guy tell Peter to be quiet and stop it.
They say Yuso's probably out chasing girls.
Yeah.
They used to do that. They used to put pillows there. Yuso just is very adept at making a body.
So then
they blow him off, basically.
The policeman leaves, and Dad tells the neighbor that, hey, you speak English, don't you? He's like, yeah. Why? He's like, we need an interpreter. So they think the old man speaks English.
Well, his passport was, I think, from the United States.
He is a U.S. citizen. So then back at their butcher shop, the guy in the Santa suit tries to get the old man to talk, and he offers the old man some gingerbread cookies.
Well, but not nicely.
No.
He's pretending he's going to give it to him and then takes it away.
See what I did there with the gingerbread cocktail, Karen?
Yes.
Are you catching on yet?
I'm getting it. But yeah, he's teasing the old guy. He's not being very nice.
The old man whispers something, and the guy in the Santa suit goes down to hear, and the old man bites him, because it cuts. I didn't know.
Yes.
I assumed he bit him, but it cut real quick.
I said, well, that's the end of him. Because we saw some meat hooks hanging, and I thought, well, there's foreshadowing, but no, that nothing happens like that.
And then we see Dad and the neighbor driving back to the shop, and I guess he tells them they've got American visitors. So they get back to the house and the butcher shop. The guy in the Santa suit, he's still alive apparently because he's outside tending to the wound on his ear.
Yes, I was surprised to see him.
Yeah, I was too. He tells him the old man is not human and they can't go inside. But the neighbor guy, he storms in with his gun drawn. He's ready. He's ready to go. And he tries to talk to the old man in English, but he doesn't answer. And then Dad...
he does look creepy because he's basically naked and dirty and all hunched over. He almost looks alien a little bit.
Then Dad pokes him with a broom handle, and then they believe he's harmless. And then we cut to Peter calling all of his friends' houses, and apparently none of them are there. They're all missing, Karen. Cut back to the butcher shop or whatever. The neighbor questions the old man in English, thinking that he is one of the Sub-Zero guys, which I guess maybe he is. They tell the man they're going to keep him as a hostage until they are paid.
Yeah, they want to make some of their money back.
Peter knocks at the door. His dad comes out and he says he wants to be spanked.
Peter wants to be whipped with smacked, he says, with the, what do you call that? The swatch. Is that what it is?
Switch?
Switch. Sorry. A switch.
Did you have a swatch back in the 80s, Karen?
I did not. They were too pricey for me.
Yeah, me either.
The dad looks exceedingly guilty, and Peter's just ready. He's got to give it up. He's going to he just breaks and tells him everything about the whole, and he wants to be smacked. So he's punished. So he's no longer naughty.
Tells him he's naughty and that all of his friends are gone and it's all his fault.
15 good lashes should do it, he says.
So then the Santa guy, that's what I call him, comes out and gets Dad.
Well, the guy in the Santa suit, not the Santa guy.
Yeah. Apparently the old man bit the broom in half And we hear rustling in there as they're outside. But so then Peter enters and the old man stares at him. Dad asks Peter if he knows the old man. Peter tells Dad that the old man is Santa Claus.
He's been
Says he has
spying on
come to
me.
get him.
Yep.
Old man approaches the boy, but Dad protects him, and the men fire a shot at him and tie him up.
Yeah, they don't really believe Peter, but that's what he's spouting as they shoot him and then they tie him up. And then it's kind of a funny scene, I thought.
So next we cut to them staring at the man hanging from the ceiling of the butcher shop. He's all tied up and hanging from the ceiling.
And they were passing back and forth the gingerbread cookies.
Yeah.
They're just staring at him eating gingerbread cookies.
And then a radio in the coat of the old man goes off where they found his passport and all that garbage. And it's Riley, the boss guy, and he wants to know if Santa is ready to fly. So Dad gets on the radio and tells Riley that they have Santa Claus and they are going to offer him for sale. So next they put Santa in a cage and throw him in the back of the truck, and they're going to meet this guy, I guess, and they debate on what they should ask for.
I thought this was kind of a cool scene. You know, they've dressed him in the Santa suit that the guy was wearing.
Yes.
He's in a cage. There's snow all around. Kids in the back seat.
Santa's staring at him.
Santa squats down and is staring at the kid. I thought it was creepy and good. It was just, and they're arguing about how much they should charge. And, you know, one guy wants to charge a lot. The other ones just want to replace what they've lost or would have gotten with the reindeer. And
so they go to a
meeting spot.
Hangar. I don't know. Airport hangar. I don't know what it is. And they go meet a Sub-Zero helicopter.
Oh, is that what that is? There's a special kind.
Well, no,
Of
that's
course.
what it says on the side.
Oh, Sub-Zero
Sub-Zero incorporated helicopter.
Yes, I thought it was like they were Arctic helicopters. Gotcha. Okay.
No. And then the neighbor guy finds his wife's hairdryer, and apparently he smells it and knows it's his wife's.
Yeah, it was weird.
So then they meet Riley. They say they want $85,000. Riley wants to see the Santa or whatever. They bring the cage Santa to him. He looks into the old man's eyes, and then he is startled because the eyes turn yellow or something like that. And he turns around and tells the men to keep quiet and drop their weapons and smile. Riley tells them that the old man is one of Santa's elves. And then the lights go out, Karen, and we see a man dragged away screaming. I don't know which one it is, though. Which one is it?
It's none of them.
Oh, it's the Sub-Zero
Yeah,
pilot.
it's the pilot.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, they're all surrounded by old men. I guess elves.
Naked men.
Yes. Naked old elves.
Yep.
And then Riley gets an ice pick in the head, it looks like.
I think somebody swears or something, and then Riley gets the ice pick in the head.
He gone. And then the elves attack.
And of course, Peter has left the truck, even though his dad told him to stay there.
The men fire at them. And Peter goes into one of the hangars with a big 24 on the door, which goes back to the Advent calendar thing.
No, true.
So then the men...
Riley does say this is not Santa Claus. And
Yes.
I don't know if he calls him an elf, but he says they're protecting their master.
Yes, true.
So he gives them that tidbit of information before the ice pick.
So then Dad and the other two men enter the hangar or whatever where Peter is.
Peter's just staring up at something.
And Peter says the elves have built a nest for Santa. And then we see big horns sticking out of a big block of ice.
I mean, big. It's huge.
And all the ovens from the town are on and generating heat to melt the Santa. And there are potato sacks filled with children.
Yes, there's a lot of children.
There is. For a little town. Yeah. So then the neighbor starts looking for Yuso, his son.
He's looking for his son, yeah.
Eventually finds him. And then the men try to barricade the door to keep the elves from breaking through with the ovens and whatnot.
Yeah, they start kicking them over so that they're not producing the heat anymore. Start piling them in front of the door. Someone yells, "We're all going to die." Because, they can't hold off. what, 100 elves or something?
Then Peter tries to get all their attention, but they don't listen. They just keep on doing what they're doing. And so he fires his shotgun and he tells them that as long as the children are there, the elves won't leave. And he uncovers a stack of explosives and apparently he wants to blow up Santa Claus, Karen.
Yes. Conveniently, there are boxes and boxes of dynamite.
Well, yeah, because they blew up the mountain. Of course there would
Yes.
be. So then the guy in the Santa suit goes out of the little hangar there with gingerbread cookies and starts throwing
Yeah,
them
he's
at the
back in his
elves.
suit. So it's not the old man who was wearing the suit. Somehow he's got the suit back
True.
because the elf was wearing the suit, but now he's wearing the suit
That's
again.
true.
And he's got gingerbread cookies to tempt the elves with.
Well, he's wearing the hat.
I guess maybe just the hat,
Yeah.
but still.
So he's throwing gingerbread cookies at the elves, and the elves all drop their weapons and pick up the gingerbread cookies. They eat them. And so the guy makes it to the helicopter, and apparently he's a pilot.
Yeah.
Convenient. And he radios to the others inside, Peter, basically, and tells them they are ready for takeoff.
Peter's
So-
in charge of this operation,
Yes.
it seems.
So then they place all the children in their potato sacks into a large cargo net. The helicopter picks it up and pulls it out of the hangar because there's a hole in the roof. And Peter jumps up on it too, along with all the children. And he yells to his dad to do his job. He will take care of the rest.
Yeah, and those kids are going to be freezing in those potato sacks, but whatever.
Then
But
the
it was kind of a cool twist that the old man was not Santa, but he was an elf.
Yeah.
Because I thought, okay, they've got Santa.
So then the helicopter flies away with the children as the elves watch. Cut to Dad drilling holes in the block of ice and inserting explosives. The elves follow the helicopter with the children in the sacks. The boy tells the guy in the helicopter pilot, to herd them into the fenced area just like they are reindeer. Then we cut back at the hangar and they have the ice covered in explosives. Then they climb up and saw off Santa's horns.
Risky, I thought.
So then we cut to the helicopter. It gets to the fenced in area where they were going to round up all the reindeer. And it hovers over the top of it. So they're drawing the elves in, but they see the gate is closed. So Peter jumps down. He lands on the light tower and climbs down.
Yeah, he
Okay.
falls backwards. He's
And
the hero.
He says he's not coming back to the guy. So,
Right.
So then he
And the
opens
guy is
gate.
trying to get him to not do it. I mean, the guy's not like, okay, Peter, go sacrifice yourself. He's like, no, don't do it. But he can't stop him because he's outside the helicopter.
So Peter opens the gate. The elves come running, and then Peter turns on the electric fence, and he radios to the guy in the helicopter to tell his father what he did. And then he drops the radio, and the naked elves all run in, Karen.
But the door would still be open if he didn't, because he's just waiting for it to be killed. So if the gate is open and all
It
of them
is.
run in there,
It is
the gate would still be open. They could leave.
good.
But whatever.
But-
Nitpicky.
But
But
then we cut to Dad and the neighbor guy leaving the hangar, and they detonate the explosives as they drive off, and there's a big explosion.
and they've got both horns in the back of the truck.
Yes. Then back at the fenced-in pen there, all the elves drop their weapons and stop.
Yeah, and so they just stand there. And this is the part where I thought they're like confused, like, why am I here? What's happening? They kind of are looking, and I'm thinking, so are all these just people that got turned into elves, or are they people they actually dug? I couldn't figure out what was happening. Were they people that were also buried with Santa, or were they people like the workers who were rounded up and became elves? But they don't help them if they were that. They start cha-ching.
Yeah, so the boy tells the helicopter pilot to take the kids home in their potato sacks. So then Dad and the other men arrive as the sun is coming up.
Nice shot.
All the elves are fenced in. Peter says there are 198 Santa Clauses. And they want to know how much all of them are worth.
Yuso does the math.
Yeah, at
$16,800,000. They sell them.
85,000 each.
Yeah.
Words to read: 312 days to Christmas. Men are showering and scrubbing the elves. More naked men, Karen.
Yep.
Shower full of naked men. Group showers. Words to read: 76 days till Christmas. And I wrote, the elves are being trained to have children sit on their laps. And they are rewarded with Santa hats when they do good, it looks like.
It's weird. Like, what? Who's going to buy an $85,000? I was like, what is the purpose of this? I'm not getting it. Explain it to me. Who would buy that?
The mall Santas. Everybody needs a Santa.
For $85,000?
Yeah.
All right. Authentic, I guess.
Yeah. So then it's 24 days till Christmas. And they are shipping Santas off in crates, marked rare exports.
Yeah. So back then, it was only 24 days till Christmas when Santa showed up. Now he shows up right after Halloween.
Before, Karen,
It's true.
I was seeing Christmas commercials before I had my Halloween tree up.
But yeah, that's the end. So I guess they become rich people selling off their Santas they captured.
The end. All right. Anything we learned this week, Karen?
We learned about reindeer, the Advent calendar, Lapland, and the Sami people. That's all I got.
Good job, Karen. Good job.
So,
Way to bring the educations. Way to bring the learning.
dropping the knowledge.
Well, I would ask you about your comments on the drink, but I guess that'll have to wait another week, boys and girls.
Well, what are your comments on the drink?
Delicious.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
10 out of 10 would recommend, yeah.
I see a few more of those in your future. You have all the ingredients. You're just gonna
It's evaporated.
you're gonna make a few more, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I discovered that I bought like those little tiny cups of ice cream, and each one is 3 ounces. And that's 6 ounces, which is 3/4 of a cup. So 2 of those cups are all you need to make this drink.
Oh, nice.
So there's your math for the week, boys and girls. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, are we ready to move on to next week's film, Karen? Are we keeping with the festive holiday spirits?
We are.
What film have you chosen for us next week?
Well, I've chosen the classic Christmas slasher. I don't even know if it is that. Killer Christmas Elves from 2021.
Wow, 2 killer Christmas elf movies in a row.
I didn't know that, but just riding your coattails, Greg.
Okay. From 2021, did you say?
I did.
Okay. Do you have a cocktail to go
I
with that?
do.
Is it a gingerbread cocktail?
It isn't. You're going to be very disappointed.
All right, well, we'll see.
It's from Instagram, Captain Cooking
Okay.
on Instagram, the Witch's Curse cocktail.
That doesn't sound very Christmassy at all, Karen.
No, it doesn't. I don't even know if we'll be able to get some of this stuff. But anyway, lemon lime soda, blackberries. There must still be blackberries out, right?
I have frozen blackberries.
Okay. Triple sec. It says grape vodka, but you can use regular grenadine, blue curacao. And they want you to use a piece of dry ice. That's what gives it the witchy stuff. It says into a cup or mason jar, add a handful of blackberries and as much lemon lime soda as you want.
Are we going to muddle?
No, it doesn't say muddle. Followed by a generous amount of triple sec. Add 2 to 4 shots of vodka.
2 to 4?
Grape, 2 to 4 shots of vodka, preferably
right.
grape flavored.
I'll do that.
It's in a mason jar, so it's a big drink.
Okay.
Now add in equal parts grenadine and blue curacao. Combined, you should get a deep, almost black purple color.
Equal parts. What does that mean?
However much you want, probably half a shot.
Okay.
Garnish with blackberries and add the small chunk of dry ice. Be very cautious and never touch it with your bare hands. Yes, I'm sure I told you I did that. I touched it with my bare hands actually I had a glove on, but I was freezing a sample and I was holding it down in the dry ice and I didn't realize how long I'd done that. And I frostbit the tips of my fingers, the very tips. They turned black and fell off. Awesome. Anyway, serve immediately and enjoy.
Okay. I'm curious to find out how that drink goes with the killer Christmas elves.
I hope it fits, because if the plot summary is incorrect, we have a very unique drink going with
All
our
right.
Christmas
Well,
movie.
we'll find out, won't we, boys and girls?
Dun dun dun.
All right. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
I'd like to thank our listener. There are a lot of podcasts out there. Thank you for spending time with us. What about you, Greg? Who do you need to thank?
I'm going to once again thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
The music definitely makes the podcast better.
Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
That was an unenthusiastic yes. Hey, it's Karen, and I'm here to talk to you about getting social with us. Did you know you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast? Or check out our website, scaryspirits.com. If you have something to say, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. And as always, thanks so much for listening. Please drink responsibly.